In this lesson, we are going to look at the volume of a cylinder. A volume of a cylinder is basically a circle of height 1, and you have multiple stacks of that circle. So the volume is going to be how many cubic units are in the first layer, and then you're going to multiply by how many layers of circles you have. So to be able to figure out how many cubic units you have in the first layer, you need to be able to find the area of the circle, either the top or the bottom. So if you find the area of the circle, that's how many square units cover that surface. So I'm just going to find the area of the circle using my pi r squared formula. And then if I make that height 1, that pi r squared is how many cubic units cover the first layer. And then the height is just how many layers I have. So I'm going to just multiply it by h. So the volume for the cylinder, the formula for the volume of a cylinder is going to be simply the area of the base, pi r squared, multiplied by the height. Just like it was with the prism. Area of the base multiplied by the height. So if I was to give you a cylinder with a diameter of 12 and a length of 15, I would find the volume by taking the area of the base, pi r squared, multiplied by the height. And then I could calculate that. If I multiply 6 squared multiplied by 15, and I leave pi in the answer, this is the exact answer, 554 pi cubic centimeters, making sure we put the correct unit. The power of 3 on the volume just means I have that many cubic. That's 1 cubic centimeter, just means 3-dimensional. This is exact because pi is an irrational number, 3.14 ... and so I can't write it out exactly. So this is my exact answer, but if I multiply that by pi, approximately 3, you'll get 1,696.5 cubic centimeters. That would be the approximate answer. Very, very close approximate, but this one would be exact. If I gave you the volume, you should be able to use the formula to also work backwards to find a missing dimension. So in this first question, I do not know the radius. And in the second question, I do not know the height. So in the first question, I know the volume. So if the volume is pi r squared h, this is the answer to the formula. Don't put your units in, it just messes things up. Just plug in the number, that's the volume. Just know that if that's centimeters cubed, everything else has to be in centimeters for it all to work out. Pi times r, which I don't know, multiplied by h. So now I want to be able to solve for r. So we need to undo our algebra working backwards. So BEDMAS working backwards. We need to get rid of all addition, subtraction, there is none. Then we get rid of all multiplication, division, so I divide out the pi, I divide out the 12 on both sides, divide out the pi and the 12, that cancels on this side, and I'm left with r squared equals, and I type in 942.5 divided by 12 pi, which is approximately 25, so I get 25 equals r squared. Now to undo squaring, we square root both sides, so 5 is the radius. If I ask for the diameter, I just double it and get 10. Over here, I'm missing the height. You'll notice with the volume here, I gave it to you in exact. I gave you it with pi. And I also, instead of saying centimeters cubed, I said milliliters. 1 milliliter is equal to a centimeters cubed, so if you ever see milliliters, you can exchange those at any time. So, I do not know the height, so volume equals pi r squared h. I know the volume to be 49 pi. I know the radius to be 3.5, half the diameter. I do not know the height. The nice part about having the volume with pi in it is when you're solving and working backwards and you divide both sides by pi, so you need to divide by pi and you need to divide by 3.5, right? You need to divide by whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Order doesn't matter when you multiply. Now when they cancel, the pi's cancel nicely there. So that's why having pi in your answer as in your volume is nice to work with. So now I'm going to go I just need to go 4.9 divided by 3.5, and I get 1.4 is equal to the height, or 1.4 centimeters, giving the proper units. This one would be 5 centimeters, right? Because it's a length, so it's not squared or cubed. All right, so that is the basic idea to the volume of a cylinder.